So good afternoon and welcome to the Rotary Club of Madison. I'm George Hidalgo, Club President. Thanks for joining us. So my opening message today is about the community grants that we provide to local organizations. So we sent a note to 55 organizations that received over $200,000 in funding by our Madison Rotary Foundation this year. So we are asking these organizations to send us video highlights so that we can share some of the highlights with our members. This will help bring to life the incredible programs local organizations are providing to people in need in our community. Now, those programs are possible thanks to the contributions you have made to the Madison Rotary Foundation. So we'll look forward to seeing some of those videos in the coming weeks. Our opening music, we'll start with This Land Is Your Land, played by Casey Oakers. So thanks to Casey for playing this week's opening music. So looking at announcements today. So we continue our monthly series with a new member of our club interviewing a longer term member. And that's part of our whole goal of ensuring that we connect and we grow. And this month, Rob Vandenberg interviewed longtime Rotarian Lou Harden. First, a little bit about Rob Vandenberg. Rob came to Madison in 2014 from Chicago and joined our Rotary Club in 2016. He holds a Bachelor's of Applied Science and Mechanical Engineering degree from the University of Waterloo in Canada and is a former Senior Director of Business Development and Engineering at Kraft Foods. He enjoys golf and other outdoor activities as well as travel. And being that he's retired, I guess he's traveling a lot. So let's listen to Rob's summary of his interview with Lou Harden.
Last week, I had the pleasure and the privilege of talking with Lou Harned, a Madison Rotarian since 1985. I quickly found out that reading the Rotary bio on Lou was merely scratching the surface. For me, Lou's name recognition was the Lou Harned Society, which is our Scotch Tasting Fellowship. Lou said that this name was coined about 4 years ago by fellow Rotarian Moses Altsek to get the fellowship started with the first meeting at Lou's home. These Scotch tastings, along with his work on the kitchen committee supporting many fellowship and board of director meetings, hold many fond memories for Lou. Lou got an early start with Rotary, as his dad was a Madison Rotarian and he came to luncheons as a college student. When Lou began practicing orthopedic surgery in 1958 in Waterloo, Iowa, he joined the Rotary and was a member and served as club president there until retiring and coming back to Madison in 1985. So Lou has been an active Rotarian for over 60 years. Upon retiring and returning home to Madison, Lou promptly unretired himself when asked to help start up the Dean Sports Medicine Clinic, where he worked until 1992. Aside from being an orthopedic surgeon, or carpenter as Lou calls himself, he served in the Army and later the National Guard. Less than perfect eyesight prevented Lou from joining the Army in the Second World War, but undeterred, he volunteered with the AFS, the American Field Service, driving ambulances to support the British Army in Italy, and was in 3 major battles there. After becoming an MD, he served in the Army for 12 years, including the Korean War. After Army service, Lou joined the National Guard, serving until 1992. One of his proudest professional achievements was setting up the 13th EVAC Army Hospital in Saudi Arabia during Operation Desert Storm. Under his command, it grew from 400 to 700 staff doing surgery and full treatment of wounded personnel, and it became one of the most desired postings in the region. When asked about his proudest personal achievement, Lou's quick response was raising 5 kids, for which he says his wife deserved much of the credit. Though very busy as a doctor, Lou put a real emphasis on getting to his kids' sporting and school events as much as possible, and he's very grateful for that. Lou loves sports, especially the Badgers, and he combined this love of sports with his profession as a team doctor at La Follette, as well as WIAA team doctor for the state football and basketball championships. Lou was also active for years in the Boy Scouts organization. A great memory for him as a young scout was during one of the last Grand Old Army of the Republic encampments, or Civil War veterans reunions, here in Madison. Lou was assigned to assist a Civil War veteran who was over 100 years old and had served as a 10-year-old drummer boy in the Confederate Army. For Lou, it was an amazing experience talking to history. This love of history and the military carried through to his time on the board of directors for the Veterans Museum here in Madison. Lou's advice to fellow Rotarians is never say no to service opportunities. This advice from his dad clearly has never left him, as shown by his years of dedicated service to his family, his country, his patients, and his community. When I asked him what he liked best about Rotary, Lou said, meeting new people, like you. We are now looking forward to meeting in person at some point and maybe tasting some fine scotch.
Well, thank you very much, Rob. And I think it's important that we continue to know each other better and connect. And so that's is important in this little video that we get a chance to know Rob and also Lou a little bit better. We can't take each other for granted, obviously. Next announcement is reference to Rotary Information Committee, which provides occasional historical reports about our club. And today we will hear from Moses Alsek. Let's listen to Moses' report.
Hello, everyone. I'm Moses Alsek. I am on the Rotary Information Committee, and we've been hard at work because, quite frankly, we need the extra money. It is paid, right? Well, we've been hard at work regardless, even though there was a misunderstanding about a stipend. And I want to take us back to a complicated time in our club's history. In 1929, our friend Lou Harnett was young enough to have been playing with G.I. Joes, had they been invented. It was also the year the Great Depression came. And not unlike, say, a pandemic, it hit the country at a time of economic prosperity and caught people by surprise. It had far-reaching effects, and our club was definitely not immune. There were discussions on the board about the need to lower luncheon prices to avoid a wave of resignations. Sound familiar? The club actually reported paring the 1932 budget to the limit to lighten the burden on the membership. The decision was made that even the one-time new member admission fee could be paid over time. Now, things got pretty awkward when in 1932, a committee was formed to meet with Rotarians who had fallen behind on their dues payments. Now, the goal was to determine each member's financial status and make arrangements for them to be able to meet their obligations. Now, it goes without saying that this is a pretty awkward process. For everyone involved, neither asking your friends nor being asked by them about your financial situation is particularly comfortable or pleasant. Some were predictably angry at what they saw as an intrusion, but others were actually appreciative that the club would actually reach out to them and, try to offer special arrangements to keep them as members instead of just sending them some, termination letter in the mail. The Great Depression even delayed the launch of our Madison Rotary Foundation. Originally a planning committee had been formed in mid-1929. Timing is everything. The foundation was finally created in 1932 and was largely inactive until well past the middle of the century. But in the midst of the Depression and an entire country in a justifiably bad mood, Rotary was a place where one could connect with friends. It was a welcome distraction, an escape from business and personal troubles, and an important part of what helped our members cope with years of hardship. Now, mind you, what followed was no walk in the park either. World War II came next. There was an acute labor shortage. That forced some businesses to close. Worse yet, 22 Rotarians, 82 sons of Rotarians, and 3 daughters of Rotarians actually served in the war, and 6 members of our club were killed in action. How's that for anxiety, for grief, and for the need to come together and support each other? So here we are, many decades later, thinking we live in unprecedented times. Our society's in turmoil, our economy's in trouble, our daily lives are disrupted in ways we never thought possible, and our club finds itself in financial difficulties. Now, some of our members may in fact have trouble, paying their dues, which still sure beats standing in a bread line for hours in 1932 or wondering if you'll make it back alive in 1944. Now, hopefully the dues restructuring plan that George announced a couple of weeks ago has addressed the concerns some members had about paying for lunches they won't eat. Now, the Rotary experience may not be the same for the time being, but I, at least, definitely don't feel like a sucker for supporting the club. It's an easy decision. I'm getting something more valuable than, a plate of something or other. I want to show my gratitude to the club for the opportunity to have met all of you. What if I'd never met Irvin Bob Goodman, or Nate Brand, Virginia Henderson, Phil Stark, Doc Rock, Andy Davidson, and others who are now gone? I mean, if I hadn't been in Rotary, I probably wouldn't have met them. But I'm thankful for the time that we had together. Based on our interests and our professions, it's likely I would have never crossed the path of many of you who are now my friends. I try to picture life without you, and I honestly don't want to. You make my life happier, and you make my life more meaningful. And I do owe that to Rotary. So while I still can, I'll pay for lunches I won't eat. I don't care. Rotary is not abstract. It's made of my friends. It's a part of my life that I enjoy, and I'd never consider leaving it at a time of need. Just a few of our friends who weathered the Great Depression and World War II are still with us. But we're here today, and we can get through this crisis too by sticking together. Our history and our character say so.
Tough times now, but other Rotarians before us also went through tough times. They made it through. So that's a very significant message, especially considering the pandemic and the race riots and the great recession we're going through. Very challenging times, but as Moses said, together we'll survive this too. Next announcement is reference member development. Past President Susan Schmidt serves on our member development committee, and she has an announcement today. However, before I call her to the podium, I wanted to share excerpts from a note that Mark Moody and I received from her a few weeks ago because it was so poignant. She said, "Thanks for asking me to serve on the ad hoc membership committee. I grew up in a Rotary family. My dad used to take me to meetings as his guest. I dreamed of being a member, but had to wait until Rotary allowed women. I remember the day I joined was one of the happiest days of my life. I remember standing at the head table. I remember everything about it, even what I was wearing. Being a member of the club for 30 years has added dimension to my life I would not have been able to get anywhere else. I don't think I would know either of you if it wasn't for Rotary. Thank you for being my Rotary friends and enhancing my life." So thanks for that wonderful message of meaning of Rotary, Susan. I know it was a very heartwarming message. And Susan, I'd like to now turn over the podium to you for the membership message.
Thank you, George. What a nice, I didn't know you were going to introduce me that way. Thank you very much. Yes, I love this club, as I think many of you know. So hello to all my fellow Rotarians today. And I'm here to talk about my favorite Rotary thing, our members. I think when most of us respond to the question, what do you like best about Rotary? The answer comes quickly. The friends, connections that I have made. And we also know that what leads to a healthy membership in any membership organization is retention of current members. In reading through the results of the April 2020 Rotary Club Madison Membership Satisfaction Survey, and thank you to everyone who responded, it was no surprise that the number one response was, to the question, what do you like most about being a Rotarian, was connecting with people, making friendships, interesting people to meet, etc., all connected to connecting. The results from our membership committee work in 2019-20 to communicate the benefits of Rotary membership is a clear message. It is connect, grow, and serve. It starts with connecting and connections. Connecting allows us to grow and learn, which moves us to serve. So as committed Rotarians, I'm asking that all of us think about the word connect when you're thinking about people to recruit to our club. If that is the reason if that is the reason they say yes, then there is a greater chance they will stay. But we also have to think about the connecting once a new member comes into our club. It doesn't take much time or effort to reach out to a new member to say, hello, how are you liking the club? Are you feeling welcome? And if they are not, ask them why and help them. These times remind us even more than ever that we need to connect with each other, even on a virtual meeting or a cup of coffee with a mask when you are not drinking the coffee. It is a basic human need that we all crave, connecting with each other. Thank you all very much for your future efforts with recruiting people to our amazing club who want to connect with amazing people and reaping the benefits because they remain in our club so we can stay connected with them. Just a quick FYI, after I wrote this, I said the word in one way or another, connect 11 times in my 345 words. So connect is the word of the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. So our member engagement subcommittee is pleased to announce that we have a new private Facebook page for our members only. So a number of members asked about having small group in-person meetings that still allow that will follow social distancing guidelines. This new Facebook page will allow members to post pop-up events to invite other members of our club. It can also be used for Rotary members to invite others to join them for volunteer opportunities and other activities such as to suggest a great book or a good movie. There will be more information about how to get access to this new Facebook page in this Friday's newsletter. Next announcements from our Community Projects Committee, which is seeking input from members about your interest in volunteer activities. Again, it's that portion, connect, grow, and serve. Now we're talking about the serve aspect. So there's a link in the chat feature right now, and it will take less than a minute to complete the survey. So let us know your interest in volunteering. The link will also appear in this Friday's Rotary News. With that, on to birthdays. So we have birthdays to celebrate with a little bit of humor or wisdom that complements Rotary's mission. We also encourage members to make an age-appropriate gift to the Madison Rotary Foundation, rounded up to 100 for our club Synergy Scholarship Fund. So on August 23rd, Lori DePreet Brown. August 23rd, past president Andrea Kaminsky. August 23rd, Paul Olson. August 24th, Kevin Hoffman. August 29th, John Braden. So thanks to our celebrants for the contributions to the Madison Rotary Foundation. Please join me in wishing them a happy birthday. So thanks to Joe Luenas for that birthday song on the cello. And being that English is my second language, I still can't understand when you say cell, C-E-L-L, right? It's pronounced cell, not shell. But I guess that's the challenges with the English language. So let me go on to Members in the news. So Brian Chan, Renee Mo, and Masood Akhtar were included among Madison's 365 Wisconsin 48 most influential Asian American leaders. So congratulations to them. This week, for my featured members and news items, I'd like to highlight Brian Chan. Brian joined our club in 2006, and he is also owner and founder of SuperNet, an internet business he started in 1994. Brian is incredibly active in our community. He has served on the boards for the Overture Center for the Arts, the Greatest Madison Chamber of Commerce, and United Way of Dane County. He has served on a club board and is a past Madison Rotary Foundation Vice President. Brian is co-founder of the annual Ford Festival and co-organizes the monthly networking event, High Tech Happy Hour. He has a son and a daughter that keep him busy outside of his work and volunteer activities. Let's thank Brian for his service to our community, and we are proud to include him among our members. Another example of how we contribute so much to the community. And let's keep that in mind of what a great club and what a group of fellow Rotarians that we share the membership with. So let me go on to the program. Jason Ilstrup became president of Downtown Madison Incorporated in 2018. He is one busy person with everything going on in downtown Madison during the pandemic and the rioting. Prior to joining DMI, Jason worked in hotel management and development. Before entering hospitality, Jason served as a legislative aide and legal counsel for several politicians, and he was previously in the Peace Corps, having served in Niger. Jason attended Boston University and the University of Minnesota Law School. Today, Jason is going to talk to us about building a thriving downtown Madison for everyone. We look forward to your presentation, Jason, and we have made a contribution to the Rotary International Polio Plus Fund as a way to say thanks for speaking to us today. Now, members can use the chat feature if you have a question for Jason. We'll be watching the chat and ask questions of Jason at the end of the meeting as time allows. Let's welcome Jason Ilstrup to our podium. Jason.
Well, thank you, George, very much for the opening. I certainly appreciate that. And thank you for the gift to the Rotary Polio Plus Fund. That is something that speaks close to my heart. As a former Peace Corps volunteer in Niger, West Africa, I had the good fortune of working with the Rotary while they were trying to eradicate polio in southern Niger and northern Nigeria. So that is a great gift, and I really do appreciate that very much. I want to say good afternoon to everyone. My name is Jason Ilstrup, and I have the good fortune of being the president of Downtown Madison, Inc., and as you all know, I am a fellow Rotarian. Thank you again also to the Downtown Rotary for all that you do to make downtown and the Isthmus a stronger place for everyone. For years and years, this group has given back to their home in downtown Madison. And all of us that work in downtown every day are so thankful for everything that Rotary does, done in the past, and they will do in the future. So thank you to every Rotarian that's watching for all of your service to downtown, including, I think, the 20 board members of DMI that are also Rotarians as well. So thank you for your service. But honestly, today is a difficult day. I wrote my speech this weekend before many of the events of the last few days. And I didn't know what to say moving forward, and whether or not I wanted to keep the same message that I'd written this weekend. And I thought it's now important more than ever to be hopeful about downtown. So you'll see that in my speech, but certainly there are many negative things happening. But my remarks today, I wrote them this past weekend before the abhorrent shooting of Jacob Blake in Kenosha. Our nation and our community are yet again reminded of how we continue to fail our black neighbors. Many of us are just beginning to understand the realities of systematic racism in America. For many others, the systematic racism is the same old reality that they've lived for countless generations. From this last tragedy, I hope that we will demonstrate a deep commitment to real justice and change. We should all stand with the peaceful protesters who are demanding action without violence or injury to others. The peaceful protesters are working hard to help us all become better people. Downtown Madison, like our entire community, continues to suffer, continues to be in pain. COVID-19 and the property destruction from the riots have placed insurmountable hurdles in front of many members of our downtown community, including many of our locally owned small businesses. As the global pandemic continues with no end in sight, businesses and nonprofits throughout our entire nation are running out of resources and are having to answer existential questions, all while jeopardizing the livelihood of their employees. At the same time, our country is in the early stages of a strong, uplifting movement for racial justice. Those of us who have enjoyed the benefits of institutionalized and systematic racism are facing a long overdue awakening. Require each of us to recognize and relinquish our own privilege. COVID and racism and the movement for social and racial justice have converged in a way that impacts our downtown. But even though the sustained heaviness of this moment, we still find glimmers of hope. With the community's support, the financial and physical destruction caused by these two twin catastrophes can become an important opportunity to create positive, transformational, lasting change in our downtown. We can create a downtown where everyone feels welcoming, where the economy thrives, and where cultures in all of its forms can flourish. Before we get any farther, though, I want to make sure everyone understands what Downtown Madison is. Where is it, and what is Downtown Madison, Inc.? I think it's important to set that baseline. Downtown has many definitions, has as many definitions to what downtown is as to as many residents as there are. Traditionally, downtown has been viewed as the area in red, right? So you have Blair Street to the east and Park Street to the west. That's what many people thought was downtown for a long time. However, the real expansion in downtown has happened in the east and the western sides along in Cap East, along East Washington Avenue, and along Regent Street and in the University on the western side. So now we see downtown Madison is running from the Yahar River to the east all the way to Camp Randall Stadium, or as I like to say, HotelRED on the west. That is downtown. But there's another quick subset I want to make sure that's important, is the area in gray. Downtown Madison, Inc. is proud to partner with Madison Central Business Improvement District, which is a self-assessed tax zone working on marketing, publishing, and making sure downtown is a vibrant place for everyone. And that is the area in gray. I think it's important to know where downtown is. Now, what does DMI do? Normally, this slide would have our mission statement, but apparently I don't build slides very well. So DMI is a member-based nonprofit committed to sustaining, planning for, and growing downtown Madison as a vibrant regional economic engine that offers best in-class quality of life for visitors, businesses, and residents. DMI's work is done through community building and networking, through advocacy, and through policy research. And we're so thankful to all the members that are on the call today. In March of this year, the world changed. The world changed for so many of us, and downtown Madison certainly was not spared. COVID-19 and the continuing property destruction have placed serious difficulties on the residents and businesses of downtown. At the same time, the social justice movement has shined a strong light on all of the structural and cultural barriers that deprive many members of our community of meaningful opportunities to fully participate in downtown. Downtowns must be a place where everyone is invited, where everyone feels welcome to live, work, shop, learn, and play. At the same time, sadly, it's not hard to measure the impact of all of the different things that are happening here. So we are going to take a look at all of the different impacts. As we are in the middle of a pandemic, it is hard to get exact information, But unfortunately, we're seeing how far downtown has fallen in some of these areas. But it also shows us the way to move forward. So we're going to look at the economic impacts. We're also going to look at the structural and racist impacts on downtown that ensures that not everyone feels welcome. If you think of downtown's energy, think of it as a four-legged stool. That's where the energy comes from 4 sources. It comes from the residents, from the businesses and the employees that are downtown, from the events, and from tourism. And unfortunately, the outlook for all 4 is not strong right now. They're not adding up to create a truly vibrant and inclusive downtown. If we look at each of the areas, including employment impact, we see that everything has changed. The first we're going to look at, though, is the residents, right? For the most part, downtown is made up of young residents. 85% of downtown residents are 15 to 34 years old. So there are just simply less residents downtown right now because not as many students have spent the summer here or are coming back to the university. So there's less residents. There's also less employees. Many downtown employees are working from home, including myself, very often. And in a survey conducted by the Madison Area Transit Planning Board late June, so very recently, 78% of respondents, of over 1,500 people, said that 78% said they've never worked at home prior to COVID. And 64% said that they now or do that every single day, with 80% of them working at least 1 day a week. So everything has changed about how people work downtown, right? There are simply less people downtown right now. What there are the essential workers. And this is where we see the disproportionate impacts on people of color from COVID-19. The essential workforce in Wisconsin, and particularly downtown Madison, is made up predominantly of people of color, including many low-wage jobs with no health care. The percentage of COVID cases, people who are Black, is now 3 times higher. And the percentage of cases of Hispanics is 2.3% higher than it would be for its normal given population size. The severe disproportionate impacts on COVID on communities of color clearly manifests itself in downtown. When we look at the tourism impacts, we see some real changes here. All major events have been canceled downtown, including the farmers market, the chamber orchestra's concerts on the square, which are doing an amazing job of running that at Warner Park, by the way. Art fair on the square, UW football. Tourism and events matter to downtown. They bring people downtown. With no events nationwide, we're seeing that restaurant spending, which is a huge part of an event, is down 60% nationwide, with 3 out of every $4 in restaurants spent in chains. That does not help our local businesses. In tourism, according to Destination Madison, our partners and friends at Destination Madison, 71 outside events were canceled this season, with over 146,000 expected attendees and 100,000 room nights canceled. These events were expected to generate over $52 million in direct spending, much of this to downtown. Remember, and a very important statistic about downtown businesses is that many of the retail and restaurant locations believe up to 70% of their revenue comes from events and tourism. And when both of those things have stopped, it becomes very difficult for these businesses to continue on. This has also affected the employment base. Over 8 million people in the tourism and hospitality sectors have lost their jobs. 2.7 million in the creative economies have lost their jobs, resulting in $150 billion in lost sales and goods nationwide in the last 6 months. And remember, many people that are working in hospitality and the arts are people of color, again, disproportionately impacted in COVID-19. How are people getting around? People are getting around very differently right now. COVID has affected how people travel in and out of downtown. Ridership on Metro Transit since the pandemic is down 80%, with parking occupancy downtown less than 5% of what it was year over year from mid-March to to early June, down 47% total year to date. Plus, Dane County Regional Airport is down 53% year to date in passenger traffic. Traditionally, the good luck of serving on the Dane County Airport Commission, some of the figures they've been giving us, traditionally about 3,500 to 4,000 arrivals and departures each day. One day in April, it was down to 62 people. So people simply are not coming to our city. They're simply not coming downtown. And if you don't have a car, options are even more limited. With Metro service running weekend schedules until next week, service is very difficult for these essential employees to get to downtown. And I would argue now more than ever, transit has become an essential service for our city. We need to do everything we can to make sure we have a robust transit system for our workforce and for our quality of life. Media Magazine surveyed transit app users, and they see that the majority of transit users now are people of color that are riding. In Madison, this means longer rides. Black people must travel farther in transit, with 26.7% of black riders having to travel over 45 minutes compared to just 9.7% for white riders. So again, disparate impacts for those downtown. Retail and restaurants. Retail, restaurant, hospitality sector have been severely impacted by COVID-19. Greg Frank, a few weeks ago, eloquently spoke of the challenges to the restaurant industry, and I echo everything that he said. So I won't go into too much detail, but suffice it to say, the situation is not good. Just on State Street alone, 20 businesses year to date have already closed permanently on State Street. From March to July, the pedestrian counters, which are on each of the blocks of State Street plus King Street, their numbers have decreased 65%. The traffic is not there for these businesses to succeed. Plus, it's even more difficult for owners that are people of color, particularly black-owned businesses. A survey by the University of California, Santa Cruz, found that 41% of black-owned businesses, 440,000 in America, have been shuttered since COVID-19 started, compared to only 17% of white-owned businesses. In the end, downtown and our whole community is suffering right now. It is not vibrant economically, nor welcoming place, nor has it always been a welcoming place for people of color. The data proves our community is not welcoming for everybody. Countywide, nearly 3/4 of black children live in poverty. Only about half graduated from high school on time. In Dane County, police are 6 times more likely to arrest a young black person than a white counterpart. This was clearly laid out by both Annette Miller and Lisa Payton Care's excellent presentation the last few weeks. Dane County, including downtown, simply is not a welcoming place for people of color, and we must do better. Now, I know that this situation that I've just painted seems dire, and is probably odd coming from someone as positive as me, but I still see real hope for the future of downtown. Certainly, there are many difficult days ahead for our community, but I believe the overlapping catastrophes of COVID-19 and racism present a unique moment in our history where we have real opportunity for real change in our community and in our downtown. We can create a place where everyone feels welcome and where everyone can thrive. COVID has exposed the inequalities of our community. It has shined a light on the structural racism of our system. This light has helped change people's opinions of what our society should be. People want a better way to live. They're saying enough is enough. Our community better understands the only way to a vibrant downtown is through ensuring everyone is welcome. It takes all of us, first wanting a better new vision for downtown, then working to ensure it happens. We can build back our downtown better, more inclusive, and create opportunities for all. Now, why do I believe that downtown Madison can thrive and be inclusive? Or at its root, why do I feel that any downtowns in America right now, with their density, can thrive? And why do I believe we can create a better place downtown? To answer, cities throughout our history have bounced back from previous catastrophes and health scares like these. Generation upon generations have argued that cities are bad for people's health, and they continue to move into these areas. We continue to see move even if people think that it is bad for pandemics. Cities consistently evolve, reinventing themselves to ensure their own survival. Cities are resilient. People want to live, work, and play in dynamically dense cities because they have modern broadband infrastructure, they have advanced healthcare systems, shared civic spaces, concentration of assets. All of this gives access to density, to jobs, to shopping, to restaurants, to government services, to entertainment venues, and to each of us, most importantly. In dense cities, people share ideas, they create and they form strong communities. The power of proximity and the power of amalgamation is real, and that will continue no matter what happens in the pandemic. But why downtown Madison? I believe in our community. I believe our community wants to build a better downtown Madison for everyone. But don't just believe me. Many in our nation feel the same way. Brookings Institute ranks Madison as one of the top cities in America to rebound from COVID-19. Bloomberg magazine ranks Madison the fourth nationwide in recovery, thanks to our economic strength, health coverage, and our demographics. Lastly, Forbes magazine recently ranked Madison as one of the country's 10 best positioned cities to recover from COVID-19. We have the people and we have the determination to make our downtown stronger. Understanding why downtowns will succeed helps us understand why Madison can create a thriving, inclusive downtown. Madison cannot rest on its laurels, as we all do. We have to do everything we can to build a new and better downtown. We must act together as a community to work hard to ensure our success. Even though the two catastrophes have created an opportunity for change, as I said before, we still have to do the work. Thankfully, there is a private-public partnership made of diverse community leaders and stakeholders of downtown working to ensure downtown remains strong in both the short and long term. This group is coordinating projects, facilitating conversations, brainstorming ideas, helping set the tone for a long-term successful future of downtown that is vibrant and inclusive for all. I am very thankful to be one of the co-facilitators of this group. And they have come up with many ideas that I think are important to share with you today. They want to ensure businesses have the resources they need to continue to stay open, to mitigate the damage of those, to ensure we do not have more closures and to mitigate that damage. We need to push for more federal, state, and local funding for our businesses, including PPP, including the WEDC funding. We need to ensure private funding, in particular through the Madison Community Foundation's Madison Downtown Fund, which was created to assist businesses in downtown in their repairs, in support loans, in job preservation, in job creation, in training, in public safety and health initiatives, in community outreach and engagement, in research, in economic impact studies, and in partnerships to strengthen and create more people of color-owned businesses downtown. This is the work that has to be done, and this is the fund that can help. It will be open to any nonprofit willing to work in downtown. Please help support that fund. We also need to make sure we're balancing the health, safety, economic, and consumer confidence equilibrium by ensuring that everyone is safe, healthy-wise, to shop downtown. We have to ensure the government is providing clear and detailed guidelines for the health and safety. We have to continue to work on programs that are working now. Most importantly, the Streetery program. For those of you that don't know, the Streetery program allows public space, parking spaces, and streets to be used by the businesses, in particular restaurants, to make sure they have the space in a healthy environment for their restaurants. and businesses. If you have not, please check out downtown, particularly around Pinckney, King, and Main Street, where there's a wonderful use of public space. And I would argue this space is so good that we should continue it in the future. We need to find ways for hospitality groups and restaurants to safely bring customers indoors because winter is coming. We need to find other ways to engage with the community so that everyone feels welcome and directly engage with all of our community so that downtown is successful. We need to understand, what do people want from downtown? We need to understand the economics of downtown. We need to create and increase partnerships with our partners at the Black Chamber and Latino Chambers of Commerce. We need to support pop-up events like the Black Business Showcase to bring Black-owned businesses downtown. We need to create neighborhood exchanges so that there's ownership in not only downtown, but other neighborhoods throughout the city. We need to showcase events to bring more people to downtown safely. We need to support initiatives like the city's Small Business Equity and Recovery Program. We need to assist businesses in new strategies in e-commerce and different ways of doing business. We need to improve transportation downtown. We need to create more opportunities for public art. There are many things that we need to do, but no, this is only a short list of the items that this group is working on. But this is only one group. We need you to be giving your ideas of to what it will take to create a vibrant, inclusive, and equitable downtown. Please send your ideas our way because it takes our entire community to make a difference. These truly are difficult days for our nation and for downtown Madison. Yet, from these two catastrophes, there is hope. We have a unique opportunity for all of us to work together to cast a new vision for downtown. Our whole community must work together. I'm reminded of a powerful quote that keeps me going these days. Especially in dark times, true unity requires humility, integration, and shared experiences. It's time for all of us to be humble, for all of us to share our experiences, and for all of us to work together. A thriving and equitable downtown matters. A thriving and equitable downtown is of critical importance to our entire community. In this unique moment, we, as a community, have the chance to finally build the thriving downtown where everyone is welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jason. That was fantastic. We've got a bunch of questions here, so let me start off with the first one here from Martha Sullivan, and she says, what is the driving economic force that makes Madison that unique from those publication perspective? Because you cited numerous publications that place Madison very high, but what's the driving force you think that places Madison so high?
Yeah, Martha, thanks for the question. I think that's a very important question right now. For generations, people thought of Madison as a capital city, right? Home of government, home of the university. But over the last 10, 20, 30 years, the economic diversity has grown significantly with different companies in different industries, in software, in healthcare ID, in gaming, in manufacturing. All of these industries have grown. So we have a decent economic diverse base. We have companies that continue to do well right now. But I think the most important thing is we have a very talented workforce. And the one statistic that always comes back to me, how talented this workforce is, that there is only one city in the country, Boston, that has more people that have a college education, a 4-year degree, than Madison. 59% of all Madisonians, 25 to 34, have a college degree. This is an upwardly mobile and talented group that can help make the changes, make the connections, and keep the economy going robustly. I also think it has to do with size. You are seeing, even though I said, cities continue to grow, there is an interest by many cities to sort of figure out where are they going, and many of the people in those cities to figure out where they're going. Also, importantly, where are the companies going? And a great example is Zendesk. The Chamber of Commerce and the great team that Zach runs and many others really helped work with Zendesk to say, is there another opportunity outside of Denmark and San Francisco to have another corporate headquarters? And they have over 500 employees now downtown, a great young workforce. Plus, we've got growing and booming companies like Exact Sciences, who currently have 500 job openings. These are great success stories, and we continue to see more of those. So the robust, diverse economy of downtown and the outstanding workforce are really what sets Madison apart right now.
Thank you. There's numerous questions related to support for downtown businesses, because I guess the city council had made a decision not to support businesses, but then there's talk about a separate fund. So what exactly, you could give us the bottom line, what is really going on to support all the businesses that have suffered from the destruction, and how do they come back? Because obviously insurance doesn't cover everything. So what's there to help them?
Yeah, sure. That's a big question right now. And Ben, a lot of the work that myself and my wonderful colleague, Madison Central Business Improvement Executive Director Tiffany Kinney, who is working tirelessly to make sure that these businesses have everything they need to recover. Her and the board, Emily Mail, the chair, and the board of directors of our group, Doug Poland, have done a great job. Now, there's been a lot happening with the recovery funding. The city brought forward a couple of different proposals to provide recovery. Unfortunately, those did not pass the city council as of yet. There is a $60,000 fund that the city is looking to move forward on this next week, September 1st meeting. But in spite of that, we are looking forward to having the private side really step up. And because of the work at Tiffany and many people, there is now a fund through the Madison Community Foundation called the Downtown Madison Fund. You can help give to that fund that really not only looks at the short-term helping for businesses, but also helps to answer those long-term equations, really understanding what is downtown going to look like. Now, that's funding for the businesses, which is hyper important. But there's something else that each one of you can do. Each one of you can continue to support those downtown businesses. All of them are taking steps to make sure that they have a COVID-safe environment, whether or not it's delivery and takeout, whether or not it's more online ordering, whether or not it's a delivery service at Little Luxuries. They're doing everything they can to continue to stay open. And we need to be doing everything we can to support those businesses. Every meal you eat out downtown makes a difference. It helps keep people employed. It helps keep our small local businesses going. So really, those are the two major things: the downtown fund and supporting our businesses in any way you can downtown.
Well, we were talking about supporting the downtown businesses. So there's a great question from one of our Rotarians that says, you know, he used to come downtown and spend a lot of money going to restaurants and obviously the activities that take place there. But his wife is really, you know, scared of coming downtown anymore. I'm sure there's a lot of the people that way. So at what point do you think people will feel safe enough to come back downtown?
Yeah, I think the safety question is very, very important. I think there's two sides to every safety question. There's the real safety question, and there are things happening downtown. Certainly we have seen events over the last few days that have been very difficult to see, right? And really hurt what is happening with safety. But there's also the perception of safety. I generally believe downtown, and I still spend a lot of time downtown, is very safe for more people. But it is going to take more work. It is going to take more of us coming downtown, right? Safety in numbers to ensure that everybody feels safe, both health-wise and physical safety. And I think these are two important things, because one of the key ingredients into COVID and making a return is consumer confidence. But you have to have that consumer confidence both health-wise, but you're also going to be safe downtown. So we need to do everything we can to ensure that both of those things happening, that the businesses, that the residents, that the police, that the city are doing everything they can to make sure downtown is safe for everybody.
Great. A question from Joyce Bromley was about discussion about State Street just becoming a walking zone only. How's that going, or is it just someone's dream?
Sure, Joyce, a question that we've had for a long time. My colleague and my good friend and my mentor, Susan Schmitz, had this conversation for her 20 years in DMI. This is a really big and important conversation about what happens with our public infrastructure. Susan did an amazing job of creating a downtown where our public spaces are for everybody. She worked with the city, she worked with downtown leaders, and we need to keep that momentum going. But I think, as I said before, these two catastrophes are changing people's minds. And if you harken back to my thoughts on the Streetery program. Before COVID-19, we would have not been able to use public right-of-way space like we're using it now. So people's minds have already changed. Honestly, I would be surprised if Pinckney Street ever gets the 13 parking spots back. I would argue that that should never happen because that creates an open space. No matter what happens with COVID-19, this will change us, and we do need to have more outdoor and open spaces, and areas like that make it happen. Now, the same thing happened on State Street where they closed it down to busing traffic. I think that there are ways to say, hey, let's really evaluate if this is the best thing to do, if this is the best use of our space. And I would argue now more than ever, these are important conversations that we need to be having, and we need to be having them with every member of our community, not just a few that were having them before.
Thank you. Next question is from Bob Dindorf. He says, is Wisconsin state government the largest downtown employer? And then what relationship does DMI maintain with state agencies?
Oh, Bob, asking me hard questions. I don't have my work here. Yes, both the city government in general, I know, is the biggest employer, but that also includes the city and the county. I love that Bob asked me a question that stumps me. Susan probably has the answer. I should probably just ask her. Government is the largest. Someone's yelling in right now. Largest employer downtown is the state and the city and the county governments. But I will tell you, we're seeing more and more private industry coming into downtown. Quietly, American Family has brought close to 350 employees downtown, both in Cap East and in the center of downtown. It goes back to what we said before. There is real power in proximity to people. There's real power. Ideas come about when people connect. And if we build the downtown where everybody feels welcome to connect, more and more economic ideas are going to take place, more and more conversations are going to happen. Honestly, more and more conversations about race will happen. One of the things that saddens me more than anything is no one is talking right now. And we need to have places like downtown where they are safe to talk. And so this is a really important thing. So we need to have people downtown, including government businesses, including private businesses, including residential. These are all big factors. And we cannot forget all of the work that Destination Madison does to bring the tourists downtown. Deb Archer does amazing work. It's over $300 million a year of economic impact in downtown alone. This is big business and an important part of our vitality. We would not have many of the amenities that we love in the city if it wasn't for the tourists. So we need to continue to support both the visitors, the residents, and the travelers that come to downtown.
Great, thank you. Next to last question here. Are there any, from Ron Luskin, are there any major building development projects planned for downtown? Any new ones?
Yes, absolutely, Ron. Thank you very much for the question. Ron, a board member of DMI, a wonderful partner in DMI, just brings so many great ideas. Thank you, Ron. The construction is still happening and development is still happening now. There are some major projects happening and in the plans downtown, including Keller's wonderful project on West Washington Avenue. Most importantly, the project that ULI is proposing on the American Exchange site that will absolutely transform East Washington, Pinckney side of Capitol Square. Now more than ever, we need Tom Newyar and Brad Binkowski and ULI to continue to have a bold vision for downtown. We need to support these projects because the one thing I know about economics, and it's not much, is that construction does help get us out of recessions. We need to be building these projects in the right way in the center of our downtown and bringing more people to our city. And projects like the Kellers and projects like ULI's help make that happen.
Great, thank you. Last question here. I think this came from Greg Franks. So ask Jason to name all of the businesses in downtown Madison.
Oh, no problem. So we'll start with Cento, Deluxe, Canteen, Fresco. Wait, Susan's here to help. Let's see, we could name For Imagination, the Park Hotel, you name it, we've got it. I'm just very thankful that you didn't ask me to do push-ups like George. Thank you all for the opportunity. We really appreciate it. Please continue to support downtown now more than ever. We can make a downtown that is vibrant and inclusive for everyone. Thank you for all the opportunity, and I look forward to seeing you virtually or live soon. Thank you.
get the applause there. Really outstanding presentation, Jason, and thanks for everyone who attended today's meeting. We are adjourned.